We're looking at the core boundary. Now, I'm a residential architect, and so I dimension to the outside of the walls, but I've given an example here where it's an asymmetrical wall. In other words, there's more components or materials on one side of the wall than the other. So I see some architects dimension to the center of the wall. And let's see how that helps the carpenter lay out his studs or her studs. But this would be the center line of the wall center line. So we have equality here, 6 foot, 6 and 7/16 inches on both sides. So that's the center of the wall. That really doesn't help the carpenter anyway. And this is the center of the structure, which is the component that helps the carpenter a little bit more if you tell him or her the center line of the structure. But I simply dimension to the outside function of the wall, and the carpenters figure it out from there. But we want to talk about the where to put the core center line. Now, if I wanted to dimension to the center of the structure, I would look at this wall, edit the type, edit the structure, and you can see that my core boundary is between the structure. You have to have a core boundary on each side of something. So if I try to move this up, I can't. If I try to move it, well, let's try to move. Let's try to move that. So let me move it up. All right, let's see what else we can do here. That we can move up, but we can't move it down. We have to always have something in the middle of the core boundaries. There has to be something there. So I say my structure is bounded by both the core boundaries. They have no thickness. They're an imaginary line. So with that, when I dimension then, and say I want to dimension to so that I want to dimension, what do I want to dimension to? Well, the wall center line would be different than the center of the core. So if I say I want to dimension to the center of the core, it'll snap to the center of my structure because my core boundary is on both sides of that. If I say I want to dimension to the wall center line, then it's going to snap to the midpoint between between the exterior of both sides of the wall. Adding, in this case, there's more materials on this side of the wall than this side. So we're going to have a center line that is from the outside face to the outside face and centered, okay? Whereas to the structural center line, you can see that it's not the same dimension on both sides because we're saying that the center line is my structure. So that's the importance of core boundaries. Whoops, gotta highlight the wall first. And then we can edit the type, edit the structure, and we can see I can put the core boundaries anywhere I want to. And that would change the center line. If I said the core boundaries were here, then the center line would be between all of these components. If I put the core boundary here, then the center of the wall will also be the center of the core. It would be the center. So we can put the core boundary anywhere. For my purposes, I always put the core boundaries between the structure or on both the exterior side and the interior side of the structure. So in the event that I want to measure, sometimes you want to know the middle of that. Maybe there's going to be a steel beam or something in this wall. Then it will not measure to the midpoint of the wall, but rather it will measure to the midpoint of the core boundaries. And that's just a simple function of that's just a simple feature of the core boundaries.